Hey everyone, welcome to the Seeds of Success podcast, hosted by Dottie San Martin and myself, Orly Rivera. This show is your weekly dose of knowledge, insights, and actionable tips to transform centers into striking successes. Whether you're a seasoned industry professional or just stepping onto the lanes, we've got you covered. So Dottie, the other day I was thinking, I was around some friends that I hadn't been around for a while, and I was talking to them, and some of the stuff I was saying, I started to think that I talk a little different depending on who I'm around. I don't change as a person, but I kind of say certain things differently. I make different jokes. When I'm sending memes, I'm like, okay, who could I send this to that will laugh? Who will think this is funny? Who might not think this is funny? You kind of change, you kind of shift yourself to be around certain people. Same thing when I used to work in radio. I would know when to say certain things that I couldn't say on air and some things that I could say off air, because obviously you don't want to get in trouble when you're saying something bad. Or not necessarily bad, but you know what I'm saying. So I was thinking about that. And when it comes to social media, that's kind of the same thing we have to do these days when advertising to crowds, don't you think?
Yes, definitely. This is a really good topic, Orly. Social media, and it's exploded, right? There's all kinds of platforms.
Yeah.
But exactly to the point that you're making with the audience and who you're talking to, who you're hanging with at the time, and what, how you word it, how you phrase it, or even what topics you pick at the time, right?
Exactly.
The same thing is true for social media. There are, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, Reddit, you name it. There's a platform, right? TikTok. But the one thing that I would like for our listeners to remember is that each of those platforms have different audiences.
Yeah.
And of course, to your point, each audience that you are reaching out to or talking to has a different way that that messages resonate with them, right?
Yes.
So you do want to be careful that your messaging is consistent across all of your platforms, but the language that you use, the concept that you use should be tailored to the audience that is on that particular platform that you're marketing to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, exactly. I think the younger crowd, and we're not here to offend anyone. So if someone's on this social media platform, it's not a bad thing. But maybe the younger crowd's on TikTok, which I think there's all different ages on TikTok. But I think it does hit a little harder with the younger generations, and same thing with like Snapchat. And I'm sure there's ones we don't even know about. Who knows? We're always coming. What was the one that me and you both had looked into? And I feel like I don't hear about it much. The one where I take a photo, I feel from the front and the back or something. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I don't remember the name, but yeah, there's so many different platforms now. And of course, the other thing I'm going to caution is be careful, be selective, look at who you're wanting to draw in as your audience. And then look at the platforms that you want to maintain.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just sign up for a platform and set up your profile and then do nothing with it, because that's worthless, right?
Yeah.
So I encourage our listeners, look at what you have, look at what platforms you are on and you have set up and you're promoting on, and keep those up and make sure that you are tailoring your messaging to those particular audience. I'll tell you a pet peeve of mine is when I see that somebody has, Facebook is linked now, right?
Yeah.
And you can choose to link what you post on Facebook to other platforms. And some people think that's a time-saving, step for them, but it's not always good because you've got a different audience. So if that's your only option and you know that you won't be able to post anyplace else, then maybe I can understand that. But try to create a different look and a different feel for the different platforms. Again, keeping your messaging consistent, obviously. But, you certainly wouldn't post the same content on LinkedIn that you would on Instagram, because LinkedIn is your professional network, which is a great place to go for different things, so like corporate events and things like that your center might be hosting. But you're dealing with a professional audience there, and that concept, that message needs to be tailored to that particular audience.
Yeah, and I've had this happen before in the past where, whether it's a friend or a family member, I say, "Oh, didn't you see me post that the other day? We were at the baseball game." And they're like, "No, where'd you post that to?" And I'm like, "Oh, I posted on Instagram." "Oh, I don't do Instagram. I only do Facebook," or "I only do this," or, and I did that in the past too with the restaurants. I go into a restaurant and I said, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were having this today." And they're like, "Yeah, we posted it to our LinkedIn or something." I'm like, "Oh, I don't." So it's the same thing. Yeah, you never know where you're posting it. I mean, even if you don't, and if you're new to social media, maybe you haven't used some of those platforms, I get it. It can be scary. You might say, I don't know how to use that. I've never used that before. I've only used Facebook. I've only used Instagram. You just do some research. It's not hard. If you could do one, you could pretty much do them all. I mean, you could go to you could go to your Facebook Reels, the videos, and search how to use Instagram or what's the best way to use Instagram. And even though you're on Facebook, you're going to find videos because some people do put it across different platforms. And you could learn, different ways to post different things. You could probably even ask AI. I've used it in the past where it says, "Do you want me to make this so it's more readable to a Facebook post?" Like they know that there's different ways to post different things. And and if you don't, again, if you're new to it and you maybe don't know what people are using or what age groups, take a poll in your center on your Facebook or whatever you do have. Hey, what social media platform do you use the most? And then if you're seeing like 90% of your people are using Instagram, then you might be like, okay, definitely need to get an Instagram. Or if you're kind of seeing, that it's a younger age using Instagram, okay, I need to know that I need to post my teen night to Instagram and not necessarily Facebook. You can still post it there. Or maybe if it's more parents on Facebook, you say, "Hey, parents, are your kids coming out to our teen night?" Post that to Facebook and post the actual teen night on Instagram. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. And I think that makes a huge difference when you're advertising to the right crowd through the right platform.
Yes, I completely agree. And listeners, if there are challenges that you have with your social media and you need assistance, remember that Cubica AMF offers a virtual marketing manager service, and we touch on all things marketing related and anything that pretty much that goes on that you need help with inside your center or even outside your center. We can help you walk through and find solutions to your challenges. So if you're in the market, need a little bit of help with your social media, reach out and, we'll certainly get back with you. But social media is a great platform. It can be super, super beneficial for your long-term success. And take a look after you listen to this podcast, take a look at what you have and evaluate those platforms and come up with a strategic plan. We say this all the time. Take that extra little bit of time and come up with a plan on what platforms you want, how you're going to maintain those platforms. Make sure that you've got them branded for your center so that you've got your consistency with your brand. And then make sure that you're maintaining those platforms. Don't let them go down. And
updating it's a big part. What I like to do is when you go to your own social media, like a business social media, look at it and make sure everything that you would want to look for when you're looking at a new restaurant or a new place to go and have fun, that everything that you would want to see is on yours. Your menu, your hours. That's a whole nother show though. I'm sure we could get into that. And there's so many things you could do to keep it updated, keep it fresh, and keep people coming on there and them getting the information that they because when you're in a center, you might not have time to, it's hard to get to the phone all the time or your line's busy or something. If you get that stuff out on social media, that's where a lot of people are looking nowadays first anyways. So just make sure you don't want to go to somebody's page and you look and the worst thing is going to somebody's page and the last thing you see is they posted 2 years ago. You're like, oh gosh. So,
well, that tells you a lot about that business because
exactly.
We are in the entertainment business. We're in the business for people to come and have fun at our facilities. And if it looks like that there's nothing going on your social media, that's the same vibe I'm going to feel like I'm going to get when I walk through the door. So that is definitely, a bad message to put out. So make sure that what goes on in your center is represented on your social media because it does. That's where people are looking to make their decisions to come in or not.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay. Well, listeners, thank you very much for joining us today. Now that we've planted these seeds of wisdom together, it's time for you to nurture them into success. Until our next episode, keep cultivating your dreams.